Published 4:24 Eastern Standard Time, the 7th of March 2018. Updated 4:25 Eastern Standard Time, the 7th of March 2018. How do you go behind the scenes without lifting the curtain? Netflix's documentary about Juventus might hold the answers. This is a football club that has clearly tried to keep its secrets while pretending it is serving them up on a plate. First team acts as though it is going to tell you a lot but avoids revealing anything Juve would not want you to see. The other issue leaps out when you stick on first team. For the majority of the first episode you'd assume they were only competing in one tournament, the Champions League. Gianluigi Buffon plays a starring role in Juventus' behind-the-scenes Netflix documentary. Gonzalo Higuain gives an insight into the mentality of a footballer, showing off his tattoos. This series was meant to be about their pursuit of Europe's elite club competition. It is this focus that causes a slow start, and why the third episode, which comes after it becomes clear Juve are facing an actual battle for the title in Italy, is the best of the lot. But first, the praise. This is a good watch. I burned through the first 3 episodes in a day, which is what you suspect Netflix wanted. At no point did I feel as though it was a waste of time. Even better, as far as Netflix are concerned, it left me wanting more. More of the beautifully shot action. More of the odd realities, like having to act out a Christmas film, that being a Juventus player involves. More, frankly, of Gianluigi Buffon, who is the star of the show. But, and here's that word again, more than anything, I wanted to see more from a documentary that is meant to take you behind the scenes. There's plenty of surface-level stuff, but it is all too positive. The problem throughout is that while pre-match access is superb, post-match it is essentially the same as what you'd receive in a newspaper the day after the game. The series takes viewers behind the scenes, while Juventus compete for silverware. This term battle between Buffon and Wojciech Szczęsny for #1 slot is excellent piece of storytelling. Take the game against Barcelona. The documentary drums up the fact that they are desperate for a third consecutive clean sheet in the game at the Nou Camp. Manager Massimiliano Allegri speaks about the unprecedented possibility. They lose 3-0. The players look hurt. Surely this is the point at which the cameras go into the dressing room to show scenes of dejection. They don't. Instead, they just cut to Allegri's post-match press conference. He trots out the quotes that would have been in Gazzetta dello Sport. Aside from a slow-motion shot of Gonzalo Higuain walking through the mixed zone, there's nothing more to add to what was clearly an unenjoyable loss. The same happens after the Lazio game. The pre-match build-up is superb. You can feel the energy pouring out of the screen. I sat on my couch mentally making plans to fly to Turin and take in a game at the Allianz Stadium when I get a chance. And then they lose at home in Serie A for the first time in ages. It's their first defeat of the season. Again, all you get is Giorgio Chiellini at his press conference later that week. Where's the access? Why could Netflix not get their cameras into the crevices of a football club that the public never get to see? It happens in the NFL, it happens across America. This seems like a missed opportunity. Douglas Costa, the Brazilian winger, balances the ball on his head during a scene in training. This first series was meant to be about their pursuit of Europe's elite club competition. Even those moments where, on the sly, they managed to show you something fresh are quickly moved on. There's a great scene where Allegri is analyzing a performance by his players, criticizing Juan Cuadrado. It's a minute or so, either side of some fluff. The only other major complaint I had was the fact it did not seem to know who its target audience was. The narrator is American and the script for him was clearly put together in the US. You find yourself cringing at certain expressions. The Torino FC was a particularly bad one. It's not that they're wrong, it's just that they're not exactly right. You could forgive that if it wasn't also partly designed for an Italian audience, people who know a lot about Juventus already. The credits and on-screen text are all in Italian. And, last but not least, there's no real need to dedicate 5 minutes of each of the first 2 episodes to promotional events for Juventus sponsors. Who cares if they race jeeps around a track? Those 2 issues aside, there is enough good stuff in here to justify its existence. Buffon and his teammates are preparing to face Tottenham in the Champions League. It's hard not to feel for the 40-year-old as he comes towards the end of his time on the pitch. The series begins with a pre-season friendly against the youth team in the village that the club's owners come from. Who knows about that outside of North Italy? Some of the interviews with the players are interesting enough. Higuain gives an insight into the mentality of a footballer when he discusses how often he gets his beard cut, every 15 days, unless he is on a run of goals. Claudio Marchisio also gives an accidental view into how dressing room dynamics work. It is Buffon that stands out though, and makes you wonder whether a series just about him would have been even better. There's a moment in the second episode where he is being hit with questions in front of a green screen. One of them is, "When did you last cry?" Claudio Marchisio also gives an accidental view into how dressing room dynamics work. You'd expect a footballer to say it was after a recent defeat, if at all. Not Buffon. He sits there, emotion coming through slightly, and responds, "I cry often and cry alone." Crying is important. When did you last hear a footballer say something like that? Never mind an elite player of Buffon's stature. The narrative around his last season is great. The battle between him and Wojciech Szczęsny for the number 1 slot is an excellent piece of storytelling. It's hard not to feel for the blue-eyed 40-year-old as he comes towards the end of his time on the pitch. It is a big part of why I'm looking forward to the 4th episode. I need to see the conclusion to Buffon's tale. I want to see how they cope with what happens in the Champions League, fix the access problems, Netflix, and I'll be on my couch the moment it drops. Unless I'm in Turin.